What is the seven-headed, ten-horned beast? Many wonder what the seven-headed, ten-horned beast is. There is a beast. It has many features, it even looks like a tiger. It resembles a lion, like a bear. It looks like a leopard. And then, it has 7 heads. This beast has 7 heads. And it has 10 horns. But does any real creature really have 7 heads? The 10 horns do not literally refer to 7 nations. The 7 heads represent 7 nations. Only during the Great Tribulation does the 10-horned beast appear. This 7-headed, 10-horned beast has existed from the beginning of creation. And will persist until the end of the world. The serpent, Satan, used 7 nations to persecute God's people, thus forming the 7 heads. Then, the 10 horns, are, the 10-horned beast. During the Great Tribulation, that is, more than 10 years later. Referred to as the 10-horned beast. The 10-horned beast no longer has 7 heads. Only 10 horns and beasts remain. This signifies that there are 10 kings ruling over one nation. Those 10 kings represent a nation intent on oppressing God's people. That's the idea. And the 10-horned beast is Russia, which after splitting up, formed an alliance. Let's explain the mystery of the 7-headed, 10-horned beast step by step. Let's look at Revelation chapter 13. Then I saw another beast emerging from the sea. It had 7 heads and 10 horns. This beast represents a nation. But this nation once comprised 7 nations, which, from Genesis until the end of the world, all persecuted God's people. Up until this era, only the final head remains. The last of the 7 heads is Russia. After Russia split, it no longer possessed the 7th head. But Revelation states that an 8th king arises from the 7th. It can only be interpreted that after splitting, Russia formed a new alliance, and is thus called the 10-horned beast. Let's continue. It bears 10 crowns on its head. And on each of its 7 heads is inscribed a blasphemous name against God. This signifies that these 7 nations are all opposed to God. In other words, the 7 heads represent 7 nations. Since the beginning of creation, there have been countless nations and peoples. But these nations and peoples do not know God. Thus, they cannot be considered adversaries of God. Nor do they know His people. Therefore, they have not persecuted God's people. However, back in Egypt's time, the first head was Egypt. Was it at that time clearly indicated by God? In Moses' time, God clearly indicated Egypt. Thus, the first head of the 7-headed, 10-horned beast represents Egypt, which was opposed to God. Is this referring to modern-day Africa's Egypt? No, it refers to the Egypt of Moses' time. The Old Testament era, when Israel was enslaved in Egypt, Egypt being the first head. My Hebrew brothers, let me explain. It is written here that on their heads there were blasphemous inscriptions against God, meaning that these nations were all enemies of God. That is, they were opposed to God's people. They even killed God's people. That is what it signifies. That is the meaning. The beast I saw had a form resembling a leopard, with feet like those of a bear, and a mouth like that of a lion. The great dragon bestowed upon it authority over the kingdoms, and all the kingdoms were given to this beast. The beast looked like a leopard in the book of Daniel. Does it mean that there was a beast like a leopard? The beast that originally looked like a leopard. A beast like a leopard. Yes, it represents the Greek Empire. Like the leopard represents Greece. Then among the 10 horns of the beast, there are 7 heads. One of these heads represents Greece. But it's not Greece of this present era. It refers to Greece during the time of Alexander the Great, the period when God's people were persecuted. Then, its feet are like a bear's. As you saw in your prophetic vision, a bear emerged from the sea. There were 4 beasts. The first was a lion. The second had a chest. The third was a leopard. And the fourth, terrifying, exceedingly terrifying, a beast with iron teeth and bronze claws. Now, one of them, the bear, symbolizes the Persian Empire. During the time of the Persian Empire, God's people were also persecuted and killed by the Persians. Then came the mouth like a lion's mouth. The lion's mouth. In Daniel's prophetic vision, the lion represents the Babylonian Empire, specifically Nebuchadnezzar. Did he not, like a lion's mouth, attack Jerusalem and afflict God's people? Here it speaks of the multi-headed, 10-horned beast, but only partially explains it. Due to limited time, we'll stop our explanation here for today. Tomorrow evening, we will thoroughly explain which nations the 7 heads represent and what the 10-horned beast signifies, as well as the 2-horned beast, which nations it represents. As for the 2-footed beast, we'll reveal now that it refers to Britain and America. Glory be to God. Amen.